Why was Napoleon Bonaparte so unstoppable? Picture this, a man who reshaped Europe, a figure so colossal that in the 2013 book Who's Bigger, which ranks historical figures by their influence, Napoleon landed in the top 3, just behind Jesus Christ and Muhammad. That's not just famous, that's legendary. But what made him a legend? The answer lies on the battlefield. Let's talk numbers for a second, because they are staggering. Napoleon personally led his armies in over 80 battles. And how many did he win? Almost all of them. His win rate is estimated to be around 90%. To put that into perspective, think of any other great general from history: Alexander the Great, Julius Caesar, Genghis Khan. None of them come close to that record. It's an unprecedented, almost unbelievable, level of consistent victory. This wasn't just luck, it was genius. A genius that essentially wrote the playbook for modern warfare. So, how did he do it? Napoleon wasn't just moving pieces on a chessboard, he was reinventing the game. Before him, warfare was often a slow, predictable affair. Armies would line up, take turns shooting, and the side with more men, or better supplies, would usually win. Napoleon threw that entire concept out the window. It was all about speed, surprise, and overwhelming force at a single, decisive point. One of his signature moves was the strategy of the central position. Imagine 2 enemy armies are coming at you from different directions. The old way was to split your army to face both. Napoleon did the opposite. He would place his army right between them, then use his legendary speed to attack and crush one army before the other could even react or come to its ally's aid. Once the first army was dealt with, he'd turn his full might on the second. It was a brilliant strategy that allowed him to defeat much larger, combined forces with a smaller army. He made his army greater than the sum of its parts, while making his enemies less. Then there was his mastery of artillery. Napoleon started his career as an artillery officer, and he never forgot its power. He didn't just sprinkle cannons along his battle lines, he massed them together into what he called a grande battery. At a critical moment in the battle, he would unleash a devastating, concentrated barrage on a weak point in the enemy line, literally blasting a hole through it. Then, he would send in his cavalry and infantry to pour through the gap, shattering the enemy's formation and causing mass panic. It was shock and awe, 19th century style. His troops, the Grande Army, were a reflection of his own dynamism. He broke the army down into smaller, highly mobile, self-contained units called corps. Each corps had its own infantry, cavalry, and artillery, essentially a mini-army that could march and fight independently. This gave him incredible flexibility. He could move his forces across vast distances with astonishing speed, living off the land instead of being tied to slow-moving supply wagons. His enemies would be expecting him in one place, only to find he had marched 100 miles and was suddenly on their flank or in their rear, cutting off their escape. He famously said, "The army that stays in its trenches is a defeated army." He never stayed in his trenches. Let's look at a concrete example. His early Italian campaign. This is where the world first saw the Napoleonic storm. He was a young, relatively unknown general, given command of a demoralized, poorly supplied army in Italy. His opponents were the powerful Austrians and their Sardinian allies. On paper, Napoleon should have been crushed, but he didn't play by their rules. He used his central position strategy to perfection. He swiftly moved his army between the Sardinians and the Austrians, preventing them from linking up. First, he turned on the Sardinians at the Battle of Montenotte. He concentrated his forces and hit them hard, forcing them out of the war in just a couple of weeks. The Sardinians were stunned. They had no idea what hit them. Then, with the Sardinians out of the picture, he turned his full attention to the Austrians. One of the most famous moments was the Battle of Lot. Napoleon needed to cross the Ada River, but the Austrians held the bridge. In a move of incredible audacity, Napoleon personally led a desperate charge across the bridge under withering fire. They took the bridge, and the victory, while not strategically massive, was a huge morale booster. It earned him the nickname the Little Corporal from his men, a term of endearment and respect. It showed them that their general was willing to share their danger. His tactics were devastatingly effective. During this campaign, in one engagement, he faced a combined Sardinian-Austrian force. The result, Napoleon lost only 200 men. The crowned heads of Europe, who had dismissed him as a rabble-rouser from Corsica, were now terrified. This whirlwind campaign forced the mighty Austrian Empire and its allies to sue for peace. The resulting Treaty of Campo Formio in 1797 was a humiliation for the old powers. It redrew the map of Italy and cemented Napoleon's status as a military hero and the most formidable general in Europe. He had taken a ragtag army and, through sheer strategic brilliance and force of will, brought an empire to its knees. His genius was about more than just tactics, though. It was about psychology. He understood his soldiers better than anyone. He knew that men fight not just for pay or for a king, but for glory, for honor, and for a leader they believe in. He would walk among his troops, remembering their names, asking about their families, and promoting them on the spot for bravery. He created the Legion of Honor, an award for military and civil merit, which was open to anyone, regardless of rank or birth. This was revolutionary at the time. A common soldier could earn the same medal as a duke. He inspired a fanatical loyalty. His soldiers would follow him anywhere, through scorching deserts in Egypt or frozen plains in Russia. They believed in him, and in turn, he believed in them. This bond between a general and his army was one of his most powerful weapons. While his enemies were often led by aristocrats who inherited their position, Napoleon was a product of talent and ambition, and his army was built on the same principle of meritocracy. So, when you ask why nobody could defeat Napoleon for so long, the answer is complex, but it boils down to this: he was a perfect storm. He combined revolutionary tactical innovation with an unparalleled understanding of logistics and speed. He mastered the psychological art of leadership, inspiring unwavering loyalty. He was always one step ahead, playing chess while his opponents were playing checkers. He didn't just fight battles, he orchestrated them like a grand, violent symphony. And for nearly 2 decades, he was the undisputed master of the battlefield. The simple reason nobody could defeat him was that, for a time, there was simply no one else like him on Earth. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this deep dive into history, please give this video a thumbs up and consider subscribing to the channel for more content just like this. We love exploring the stories of these incredible figures, and your support makes it all possible. Let us know in the comments who you'd like to see us cover next. See you in the next video.